Hi, I'm Paula Blackwelder. Welcome to my circus talk show. This is Trapeze Talk. And before we get started into trapeze, I wanted to do a little show and tell. These are my circus shoes. I was in live entertainment for 5 years, thanks to John Zimmerman. And these shoes have followed me everywhere. I actually used to have red plastic stars glued to the heels, hot glue, and these are bands of rhinestones. And I wore these in the mud for mud shows, one-ring shows. We used to set up the bleachers and take everything down and drive stakes in the ground. And I actually wore these at Circus, Reno, and Las Vegas when I was with the Flying Eagles and the Flying Farfans. So these are very special to me and very sentimental, and I cannot part with them. And talking about these shoes, Tony Steele, our guest today, actually gave me a pair of his wire walking shoes because Tony does more than trapeze. He's walked the wire too, and gave me a pair of his shoes that he had taped up because he couldn't part with them, and he has since taken them back, and he's back wearing them. So we'll talk about your shoes a little bit, Tony, but before we do that, where we left off from the last show, Tony was telling us about Lily, his beautiful wife from Paris, France.
She was beautiful, yes.
And who became a flyer because of Tony's coaching. When you guys got married, the draft was still going on in the U.S. military.
Right.
So the Army came along, and you're on. Take it from there.
I got a letter like everybody else. Greetings. Your boy John gave me this hat.
My son John.
Yeah. People are walking up to me and saying, "Thank you for your service." And I said, "You're welcome." But in reality, they don't have to thank me because I had nothing to do with it. In those days, they took you whether you wanted to go or not. So got the letter. Greetings.
Greetings. You've been drafted.
You have been inducted into the service.
But you were working in a circus, though, weren't you?
Right.
What happened to all that? You had to leave the show.
I was becoming a very wealthy little boy, and all of a sudden that was taken away from me.
Yeah, you were a circus star.
Yeah.
You really were. I mean,
Thank
people
you.
were applauding you and wanting your autographs, and now you leave for Germany.
Right. Well, first is basic training, and then I went to Germany, yes.
So Lily went with you.
Yes.
While you were in the Army, tell us a little bit about a coincidence that you found out.
The ball game?
Well, before the ball game, you were actually living in the same building.
Oh, this is really amazing, yeah. It's been, 7 or 8 months that Paula brought me, and she introduced me to her mother.
No, it's been about 2 years.
Oh, has it been 2 years? I'm sorry. And she said, "Yes, I know Tony. I lived in the same building as he did in Germany. And your mother knew my wife, Lily."
Yes.
And I think I was flabbergasted. It is a small world.
Yes, and it seems like it gets smaller with the internet and social media these days. But what was the street that you lived on with my parents?
Danziger Straße.
Danziger Straße.
Danziger Straße.
And my mother told me that you had a trapeze set up in the little bitty backyard of this building that the Army guys and their wives stayed in. And you would still practice, even though you were drafted and you had to leave the circus, you kept it up while you were serving our country.
I did, and we used to go and put a more elaborate trapeze up in a tree in a park in downtown Friedberg, Germany. But your mother used to be looking out the window. It was one of those typical German type extensions from the side of the house, and she would look out and watch us. And she and Lily would go to the market together, and it's very strange.
Take the bus together. So I'm so glad that God's brought everybody back together. It definitely has a warm closeness to it. And and she was very fond of Lily.
Uh-huh.
But when you were in the Army, stationed in Germany, something really far out happened to you. Who did you meet?
Are you talking about the ball game?
Yes, I am.
Well, I was in the 27th Artillery, and there were two other units on the base, the 32nd Armored and the 52nd Infantry. And in the 32nd Armored was a man named Elvis Presley.
I love
And
Elvis.
the 27th Artillery was playing against the 32nd Armored, softball game, and Elvis hit the ball. It was a ground ball. The pitcher got the ball, picked it up, and threw it to the first baseman. That's me. And I tagged Elvis Presley out at first base.
How about that?
And that was because I worked with a lot of celebrities over the years, but this was out from the show business end. This was, I like to use the expression, it was a God thing.
Wow. Well, that is very memorable.
It was very memorable, it was a thrill.
And thrilling. So getting drafted wasn't all bad.
No, it wasn't all bad, no.
But now, didn't you get taken out of the Army fairly early?
I was very lucky. I had my orders, and I was on what they call rear detachment. All the troops were in the field, and I stayed on the base because I had my papers to sail back from Bremerhaven on a boat, and a man showed up. I was on guard duty. They called me into headquarters, and this man had a lot of power of some kind, and he had my orders changed, and I flew home to Fort Dix so that I could get an earlier, what's the word? Getting out of the Army earlier so that I could discharge, so that I could join his circus in Japan.
Very good. Wow. Well, you were fortunate. You had that talent and it served you. Yeah, so you performed in Japan for how long?
We were in Japan about 4 months.
My goodness.
Tokyo, yeah. And we went all over the Far East.
Wow. Congratulations on that. Thank you for serving our country, even though you went kicking and screaming and it messed up your circus career just a little bit. You've touched a lot of people's lives, and we thank you.
I fought, but they took me anyway.
All right. Well, on a couple of other shows, we're going to talk about the different talents that Tony has, because he's done a lot more in the circus industry than just flying trapeze, and that's where his wire walking shoes come in. So we'll talk about that on another show. Tony,
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like that, yeah.